I visited the actual location of my favorite 100 famous views of Edo, painted by Hiroshige Ando, to see how the scene looks today. The 100th work, Nihonzutsumi Enbankment at Yoshiwara, depicts the causeway known as the Nihonzutsumi and the bustling crowd of customers heading to the Yoshiwara licensed quarters from a little higher up. First, please check where you are using Applemap. It is about 5 kilometers northeast of Edo Castle. At that time, this area was on the outskirts of Edo, and there were few houses, and almost only fields and rice paddies. Yoshiwara Yugaku was also called Kannon-ura, because it was built on a part of the rice field behind Sensoji Temple. Please see a more enlarged map. I will put Hiroshige's viewpoint in red gradient. When Tokugawa Ieyasu came to Edo, the right half of this map was almost a floodplain because the Irumagawa, Arakawa, and Tonegawa Rivers were flowing in and out of the city. Later, due to the Tonegawa Rivers eastward shift project by the Edo shogunate and flood control projects including the Arakawa River, the amount of water decreased, but the city of Edo was also always in danger of flooding. In 1621, an embankment was constructed from Imadabashi Bridge in Asakusa Shodancho to Jukanji Temple in Minowa to the northwest, using the soil from the collapse of Mount Matsuchi. This is the Nihonzutsumi embankment. The map shows it as a dark blue line. In 1617, shortly after the establishment of the Edo shogunate, a recognized brothel called Yoshiwara was permitted in the area around present-day Nihonbashi Ningayacho, but it was destroyed by the Great Fire of Miriki, 1657. The shogunate ordered the relocation of the brothel itself, rather than rebuilding it, since the Ningayacho area had already become quite residential. Asakusa paddy field by the Nihonzutsumi was the candidate for the site. This new officially recognized brothel was called Shin-Yoshihara to distinguish it from Nihonbashi. It is shown in green on the map. I have covered this with a map of the time, roughly matching the location. At that time, visitors arriving by boat on the Sumida River entered the Sanya Moat, which ran along the north side of the bank from Imadabashi Bridge, and disembarked on the way. From there, they walked along the bank of the Nihonzutsumi to the entrance of Shin-Yoshiwara, Yoshiwara Aman Gate. You can see from this map that the Shin-Yoshiwara licensed quarters at that time were surrounded by a moat, forming a completely different world. This is Hiroshige's bird's eye view of the Shin-Yoshihara prostitute from the north. The lower left is the main gate at the entrance, and the upper right is the dead-end gate on the Asakusa side. The main street, Nakanacho, was planted with cherry trees in spring. If we look at this on a map showing all the stores in Shin-Yoshihara, we can see that it is drawn from the upper right. On this map, Nihonzutsumi is on the right. Still, the scale of the officially recognized brothel, Shin-Yoshihara, is amazing. This is a view of Shin-Yoshihara from the sky looking toward the Nihonzutsumi. In the foreground are the stores of Shin-Yoshihara with their turrets raised, and beyond them are people walking or riding on palanquins along the Nihonzutsumi toward Shin-Yoshihara. The black tree on the left is the reward willow. In a series of what looks like a modern restaurant guide, Hiroshige depicts a store called Irumagawa, which was located at the entrance to Shin-Yoshihara. People are coming from the back right toward Shin-Yoshihara, over the Nihonzutsumi. On the left is the reward willow, and turning left here leads to a slightly winding street called Imanzuka, where Irumagawa was located at the entrance. The Nihonzutsumi, reward willow, Imanzuka, and Aman Gate were all places through which customers heading to Shin-Yoshihara must have passed. Here you can see what it actually looked like in the Meiji era. This photo was taken in the early Meiji era from Mount Mitsuchi, showing Imadabashi Bridge, the Ryota Ariake Row, and the Sumida River beyond. Customers coming by boat on the Sumida River entered the Sanya Moat from here. Beyond the Yamato Bridge, the Yamato Shrine can be seen, and we go under the bridge in the direction of Shin-Yoshihara. Since the tide is high and low, we used to get off the boat here when the tide was low and walk to Shin-Yoshihara. This photo was taken from Nakanacho Dori, the main street, during the cherry blossom season, looking toward the Aman Gate at the entrance. It is strangely realistic to see umbrellas and futons hanging out to dry. The large gate of Shinya-shihara was replaced by an iron gate in 1881. The row of buildings in the back are called Hikitechiya, which is a kind of information center where customers are escorted to and from the brothels and where they are served with sake. In Shinya-shihara at that time, it was customary for first-class prostitutes not to take their customers directly to their establishments, but to use this tea house as an intermediary. Kadobira was a prestigious establishment in the Shinya-shihara licensed quarters that was the first to build a 3-story wooden grand building. Only the name remains today. Now then, let's take a closer look at Hiroshige's painting. The first thing that appears at the top is the sign moon and geese flying at an angle. The moon at this angle means that it is around 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening, before the closing of the Yoshiwara Amen gate. However, in reality, it seems that people were able to enter and leave even after closing the gate at midnight, since they were able to use the small side gate even after the gate closed. Beyond the hazy clouds, to the left is the direction of Utori Jinja Shrine. The tree on the far right is the reward willow tree, and if you turn left at this point, you will reach Imanzuka, which leads to the Amen gate, the entrance to Shinya-shihara. From the lower left, the causeway of the Nihonzutsumi continues, and even at this hour of the day, people are constantly passing by. There are many tea houses with reed screens lining the street, hoping to attract customers. It seems like a scene from a peaceful country. If you look closely, you can see that most of the people are wearing hori, which means they were dressed in what we now call suits, and they came here to have fun. I actually visited this location. This is the location where Hiroshige's point of view was taken, looking towards Shinzoku from the intersection of the Sanyamote and the Mikuta Bridge, which has been culverted. The actual viewpoint of Hiroshige is from a little higher up. This is a photo looking toward the entrance of Yoshiwara from what was then Nihonzutsumi, now Dotori. Instead of the bank, which was empty on both sides, it is now lined with buildings on both sides. This was the Sanyamote at that time, which was culverted and turned into a park. This Sanyamote was also the discharge channel from the Atanashi River in Aji at that time. This photo is taken from the current Yoshiwara Amen intersection looking toward Hiroshige's viewpoint. To the right from this stand on the right was Imanzuka, and the Amen gate was located a short distance ahead. The small tree in the front is a reproduction of the reward willow. The visitors leaving Shinya-shihara seemed to feel a sense of reluctance to leave when they saw this willow. I actually tried to fit the current photo into Hiroshige's painting. It is a view that cannot be seen beyond it, and the perspective is low. So again, I tried to recreate Hiroshige's point of view by combining the street view from Applemap, Google Earth, and the sesquicentennial moon, and making it a night scene. It is a bit forced, but it represents the current situation. At that time, the Shinya-shihara licensed quarters were ranked at the top of the list of places where 1,000 ryo a day fell, along with Saruwakamichi for theatrical performances and Nihonbashi for fish markets. However, in 1855, Shinya-shihara was severely damaged by a major earthquake, and many of the brothels were forced to operate as temporary stores in various parts of Edo. Since this painting was published in April 1857, it was before the reconstruction and reopening of stores that began in June. It is possible that Hiroshige was commissioned by the Shinya-shihara licensed quarters to publish this work as a PR campaign in advance. However, since Shinya-shihara was the center of culture in Edo at that time, Hiroshige himself may have been sincerely pleased with the revival. Later, Shinya-shihara suffered the Great Yoshiwara Fire of 1911, the Great Kanto Earthquake of 1923, and the Tokyo Air Raid of 1945, when it was almost completely destroyed by fire. Nevertheless, Shinya-shihara was undaunted and continued to recover. However, on May 21, 1956, the anti-prostitution law was passed and the Yoshiwara licensed quarters were completely choked out, and the scene as depicted in Hiroshige's painting was long gone.